WDW Bound. And today we wanted to talk about some unpopular Disney opinions.
Yes.
All right, so I'm going to start. And my first unpopular Disney opinion is that I don't care when they get rid of classic rides and bring in new stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
New stuff is good.
New stuff is good. Walt himself said that the parks are never complete.
Yep.
And they will always be changing and evolving.
Yep.
So when they got rid of Maelstrom to put in Frozen, I wasn't upset. When they took away the Great Movie Ride, I might get kicked out of the Disney community for that one. But and put in Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, it didn't hurt my feelings.
Yeah.
I'm more excited to see what the Imagineers come up with.
Yep.
So that's me.
I agree. And to piggyback off of that, mine is that I don't get attached to shows and fireworks.
Yep.
Like, they just recently announced that Happily Ever After in Magic Kingdom will retire starting September 30th. This is going to be its last day. And they've got a brand new show for the 50th that starts on October 1st.
Right.
So I'm not sad about it. I wasn't attached to Wishes. I'm not attached to Happily Ever After. I've watched it multiple times. It's beautiful. But I trust that the Imagineers know what they're doing. They're going to give us something new. They're going to give us something innovative. And I'm excited to see the new things rather than holding on
to the old stuff. Yeah, I'm with you. Also, like, I feel like Wishes was around for forever, but like Happily Ever After hasn't been around long enough for me to get attached to it.
Yeah.
Like, I've seen it a lot, but I'm not like, oh my God, that's what I grew up with.
Yeah.
You know?
As long as there's pretty things to look at and there's things that go boom in the sky,
I'm good.
I'm gonna be a happy girl.
Yeah, I'm with you. Also, like, as long as we keep Tinkerbell.
Yeah.
I feel like that I would get upset, I think, if they took away Tinkerbell.
Yeah, that is
She
pretty
needs to
iconic.
fly.
Yeah.
All right, so and then kind of to piggyback off that and the first one, I don't hate IP in the parks.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of people get upset that there aren't enough new attractions or just in general, like, new stuff, like original stuff, I guess, is what I'm thinking of.
Right, yeah.
And instead Disney's just bringing in some of their popular characters, like, again, talking about Maelstrom turning into Frozen, things like that, that people are upset that, you know, Disney's just getting their most popular stuff and bringing it into the parks instead of creating new things. That doesn't bother me.
I think it makes it more accessible.
Yeah.
Especially for casual folk who aren't really familiar with the parks.
Right.
I think it's more accessible for kids because they're really anyone's first exposure, unless you're local to Florida, is the movies and, you know, the TV shows and the media aspect of it. So if you're just getting into the parks, you don't want to go into a park where you don't recognize anything.
Yeah. And
so I think the IPs are a good stepping stone into getting people more familiarized with the parks.
To want to come.
And to want to come.
Which is the whole point.
Because I know we're talking about Disney, but Universal was incredibly smart when they got the rights to the Wizarding World.
Yeah.
Because I know many, many people who my husband is one of them, flat out says he wouldn't go to Universal unless
Harry Potter was there.
Like, he doesn't care about anything else. He doesn't care about Kong. He doesn't care about E.T. He doesn't care about The Simpsons. Like, the only thing he wants to do when he goes to Universal is Harry Potter.
Yeah.
So, like, IP is incredibly strong, very strong motivator for people to visit parks. So it's essential in getting new crowds.
Right. And I think that Disney doesn't just necessarily rely on the IP to draw crowds. Now, you could say, like, Frozen was lazy because it's just a retelling of the story. Fine. But I think about Pandora. You don't have to be a fan of the Avatar movies, which I've never seen more than 15 minutes of, to thoroughly enjoy that area of the park. Like, you can still use IP, but use it in a smart way so that it doesn't necessarily feel like IP.
Yeah.
And I feel like Disney does that well.
Yeah. And to kind of go back on the Great Movie Ride, you know, we rode that many, many times on our previous visits. And, like, I hate to say it, but it's it was dated.
Yeah, it was.
They're like, we're the weird ones that know what Casablanca was. Like, they're
And Singing in the Rain and
yeah, like all of those classic movies. A lot of people really don't care about that stuff anymore.
Yeah.
And so,
not that they're not great.
yeah, they are great, but you have to have things that are accessible to people, and that they're familiar with, and because they're gonna fall asleep.
Yeah.
They're not gonna be interested in it, or they're gonna write it once and be like, that was weird, and I'm never gonna do that again.
Right. I did it. It's kind of like, oh God, unpopular Disney opinion. Carousel of Progress is only okay, and it's original, and I get it. Like, it was one of the few things that Walt himself touched and designed that's in Walt Disney World.
But it's dated.
It's dated. I did it once. I'm good. I can say that I did it, and I don't,
Yeah, unless my feet are really tired, because it's a 20-minute show.
Or hot.
Or hot. Like, if you need 20 minutes to get out of the Florida weather and to rest your feet, and you don't have a dining reservation coming up or something like that, like, you just need to sit for a few minutes.
And the people mover's down.
Right. So yeah, so it's a great, like, mid-afternoon break ride.
Yeah.
But it's not like make or break your trip. If you don't do it, you're not really gonna miss it.
And I don't say that to say that I don't think the Imagineers don't have creativity anymore or anything like that. But, and I like new stuff too.
I think about, like, Rise of the Resistance, how incredibly innovative that technology is, and the trackless ride system, and how immersive it is. Like, it doesn't, that story I still feel like it's original within its own IP.
Right.
You know, so I think that you can still have original stories with rides and still use IP.
Right. Well, and Remy's is the same way, right? Remy's Ratatouille Adventure. It's not something that's in the movie.
Yeah.
It's taking the context of the movie and pushing
expanding
it further.
on it. Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. Which is why I'm really excited about the Guardians ride.
Yes.
Like, it's gonna be awesome.
Yes. Or Tron. Like, I know it's just a direct copy from Shanghai, but like, I'm really excited for that too. And I don't know anything about the Tron IP.
Yeah.
So, but I'm really never. So,
Either
the old
of
one or the new one, I've never watched them. So,
Yeah.
you know, I'm okay with that. There are a few things that I probably would be upset if they got rid of. Like, if they took Aerosmith out of Rock and Roller Coaster, because there's been talk of that, you know, with like replacing it with newer, more current bands.
That would be a tough choice. Like, I'm not attached to Aerosmith. It's never been one of my favorite bands. But, like, if they replaced it with, like, Ariana Grande, like, I would have problems with that. But if they replaced it with, like, Foo Fighters.
Right.
Because they're still around.
Yeah.
And still making music, and they're classic.
Yeah.
Not like
I would be afraid that Disney would replace it with, like, one of their Disney people. You know? Yeah. So, I think I'm not saying that I don't get upset about change. I do like change and what they do and how they evolve things, but there are a couple of things I'm attached to. Like, I'm attached to that.
Yeah.
And I don't know how I would feel if they changed Tower of Terror like they did in Disneyland. I love my Tower of Terror. I know you, whatever.
I have a complicated relationship with that ride.
Like, I know, and you liked Guardians better because
it was more lighthearted.
Right. And so it took away some of that,
the fear.
Like, the fear and the anxiety for you in the drop ride. But
I would be upset if they changed Haunted Mansion.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Like, I was talking to my husband last night, and I was like, okay, let's think of a game plan for the first. I said, you know, it's going to be really, really busy. Are there any rides that we, like, have to do? Because I know you want to do all of the, like opening day attractions. And I'm not necessarily going to do that, but I was like, what are my have-tos when I'm in the parks? And it was Pirates of the Caribbean and Haunted Mansion.
Yeah.
Like, as long as I ride those two rides, then I'm happy. And if they were to change any one of those things, like they're doing the whole Muppet Haunted Mansion thing, which I'm super excited for because I love the Muppets. But if they put like a Muppet overlay on my Haunted Mansion, I would be upset.
But you like the Jack Skellington overlay in Disneyland?
Yes. I am a paradox. I would be okay if it was seasonal. Like, truth be told, I would be okay if it was seasonal.
Yeah, seasonal I'm okay with.
Yeah, seasonal.
For sure. In fact, I wish we had more of that in Disney World versus Disneyland. All right, so moving away from, like, parks and
IP
IP
right.
tracks and stuff. Let's talk like some food unpopular opinions. I hate Dole Whip.
And I love Dole Whip.
So you can come at me for that one.
This
really,
is how, I wonder how we're sisters. Because I love Dole Whip. Like, we'll get one, she takes a bite, makes a face, hands it to me.
I don't like iconic pineapple flavored Dole Whip. I like
the different flavors.
The lime one is probably my favorite, but it just tastes like lime sherbet. So,
yeah,
I like that one.
Yeah, I like the lime one. I don't think I've had any of the other ones. Like, I haven't had that one that tastes like, what was it, like cream cheese or something like that?
We had that one, and it was weird, but I kind of liked it. Yeah. I know there's a raspberry one, right? Wasn't the Moana themed, the Hey Hey one?
Yeah. And there was a cotton candy one too that I was like, I don't know how I feel about that.
And there's the coconut one.
I probably like coconut. Yeah. But I don't like cotton candy things.
Yeah. So, but yeah, Dole Whip is not my thing. I have literally taken a picture with it just because I have a shirt, which I'll insert that picture here.
Yeah.
But I don't think I even took a bite.
I ate it.
Yeah. I was like, I think I just took a picture with it and handed it to her. And Christopher, because he liked it too.
Yeah.
All right, what are your unpopular food opinions?
I don't like Disney hot dogs. And I don't know if this is because we live in the South.
Yeah.
And I know I can make a better hot dog. I just don't get excited about hot dogs.
Yeah.
In any of the theme parks. You can dress them up
however you want, make them special.
But it's at the
I ate that one with macaroni and cheese on it one time. Yeah.
And I don't like their chili cheese hot dogs. I think because their chili gives me heartburn. So that might be why. Because I am in my 30s and I can't eat like I used to.
It's true.
So I stopped eating Disney hot dogs a long time ago.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
What else were we gonna say?
This is, I guess you could say this is my opinion because you haven't been to Disneyland yet, and I have. I went in 2018. But Walt Disney World's churros suck in comparison.
So tell me the difference, because I've had Disney World's churros and they seem fine.
So I think it also depends on where you get them.
Okay.
Because I haven't had the one at what's it, Topolino, that has the churros on their dessert menu.
Oh, and so does Nomad Lounge.
Yeah,
and
I haven't had those. I've just had the regular old
you can get at Hollywood Studios
cart churros, and I went on and I'll try to find the pictures of all the churros that I ate because I ate a lot of them when I went in October of 2018 to Disneyland. Yeah. But you can tell that the ones in Disneyland are made fresh.
Okay.
So a churro is supposed to be crunchy on the outside
chewy
and soft on the inside.
Okay.
So that's what makes a fresh churro. And Walt Disney World's churros are hard the whole way through. They're crunchy the whole way through. And so it's not a pleasant experience.
Because they're not as iconic.
Yeah, they're not as iconic as the Disneyland ones. And it may just be that Disney World is just a lot bigger.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And so resources have to be resources have to be allotted to certain things. And so they may just not have the resources to dedicate to churros because they're focused on, right now they're super into those little dome cakes where it's mousse and the glaze or whatever. You see those everywhere. And those are delicious.
Yeah, and cupcakes.
Cupcakes are huge in Disney World. Cupcakes are freaking everywhere in Disney World. Yeah. But not so much in Disneyland. It's just not as big of a thing. Yeah. So it may just be demographics, and what they can mass produce, and
I do just feel like that's maybe probably it, right?
Yeah.
Right?
I remember when we were really young, getting churros in Epcot.
Okay.
Do you remember that? Do you have that memory?
I don't.
I do. It was when I don't know if it was when I was 14 or 17. I think it was when I was 14 because
that's when we wandered Epcot by ourselves. Right?
That was when we wandered Epcot. And so I remember going and getting churros somewhere in the Mexico Pavilion and eating them and going, we paid how much for them?
At 14, you were already
a foodie. But I just remember them not being very good, and they came they were small, and they came in a little basket, little cardboard baskets that they give you for everything. Yeah. And I just remember thinking, why is this so hyped?
Yeah.
Of course I was 14. I thought everything was overhyped.
Right, it's true.
As a 14-year-old. So But yeah, I don't know. Like, memories as far as back as our first trip, I remember being very underwhelmed with Disney World churros.
Okay, so my next unpopular Disney opinion is the one that I'm most frightened to talk about. And that's that I think that the Polynesian Resort is overrated.
And why is that?
Okay, so we stayed there 2019? Was it summer 2019? I can't remember. But it had been like a bucket list resort for us, right? And my husband was super, super excited about it. And we just kind of found it lackluster. I do love the food options there. I think that they're different and interesting, and that's great. People hype it up for being a monorail resort, but it's like in the middle. So like it's not super close to get there. It's not super close to get off. So it's always crowded, that monorail. It's hard to find a spot to get on. You can't walk to the park from there.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, like of the 3 monorail resorts, it feels like the least
convenient.
Yes.
Yeah.
The rooms themselves were fine. I know they've been refurbed since we stayed there because now they're like Moana themed.
Yeah.
Which is fine. Again, IP in the parks, bring it in. I don't care. But yeah, and maybe too, it's because of the room we got. Because by the time we were able to actually book our room, we ended up with a standard view. So maybe if you have a theme park view room, that's better. I don't like that the rooms are in those like long houses. Is that what they're called? So to get to the food, to get to the monorail, you have to walk all the way outside. Which when it's raining in Florida, like that ever happens, you know, you get soaking wet.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah.
So I preferred of the monorail resorts. We haven't stayed at Grand Floridian, but the Contemporary, it's all right there. You're all on the A-frame. So all the food and the transportation and everything is accessible without having to go outside.
Yeah, I get that.
Kind of like an Animal Kingdom Lodge, same thing.
Yeah.
Listen at me complain about staying at a deluxe resort. You know what I mean? Like, first world problems, right? Exactly. But it was just...
But it's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money. And I feel like and we didn't run DVC for that trip. So, like, I paid to stay there.
Yeah.
And part of that may have been our issue in that we had been looking forward to staying there for so long that when we finally did, we were just like, well, I've eaten at Ohana without staying here. I've eaten at Captain Cook's without staying here. I've watched the fireworks from the beach without staying here. Yeah. That it just wasn't like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to stay here again.
Yeah.
And the theming is great, and I loved hanging out on the beach. All that was fantastic. It wasn't like it was a bad trip or anything. It's just that if we're going to stay Magic Kingdom area resorts, that's not the one I'm going to pick again.
Yeah. Yeah, I see that.
And that's it. That's all I'm going to say about that.
That's all I've got to say about that.
Right? Because, like, I really do feel like people might come at me for that one.
Yeah. Yeah. But, I mean, we're very practical people.
Yeah.
In a sense that, you know, because a lot of the things that we talk about on our blog posts and in our videos is how to save money, how to save money, how to save money. So we're very money conscious.
Yeah.
So
if I spend a lot of money on something
and not 100% happy with it, I mean, you gotta take that into consideration.
You got anything left?
Oh, yes. The last one, and this is one that we share.
Oh, right. Right.
Yeah. You wanna do it?
Okay, so of the 4 parks, Hollywood Studios is our least favorite.
Hollywood Studios is completely skippable for me. I'm just gonna throw some major shade there.
No, I'm not saying it's like completely skippable,
It's
but
totally
if I go
skippable.
a trip and don't step into it, I'm not sad.
Yeah, it's not. Now, my husband would say different.
Right.
Because the
rest of my family would say different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if it weren't for Ronto wraps, I'm pretty sure we wouldn't go into Hollywood Studios.
Yeah.
Because that's the only thing my husband cares about.
Now, I love parts of Hollywood Studios. I love Baseline Tap House. I don't drink beer, but I love hanging out there.
Pretzel.
And the charcuterie and everything. Yeah. I love Rock and Roller Coaster. I love Tower of Terror. Like, there are individual bits of it, but I'm always hot. Mm-hmm. I don't think that there's enough entertainment. Mm-hmm. Like, even the character cavalcades helped some, but like, I don't love the shows.
Yeah.
You know, and as far as I know, Indiana Jones still hasn't come back, has it?
Mm-mm.
So, I mean, we've got the Frozen show, which is
Frozen.
It's fine, but like once you're frozen out, you're frozen out.
Yeah.
And the food options are not great.
Yeah. Here's my issue with Hollywood Studios. Hollywood Studios is experiencing an identity crisis.
It is.
Because when it was originally built, it was supposed to be like a homage to Hollywood.
Yeah.
Where it was based on
like
you
old
had
Hollywood.
Old Hollywood.
Yeah.
You had like the backlot tour, you had the stunt show with the cars,
Mm-hmm.
like all of this, like
how Hollywood works.
yes. And it's not that anymore.
Yeah.
It's essentially a jumble of different IP.
Right.
Like I feel like it's trying to be Disney Sea in Japan, where it's like all the adventure stuff.
Yeah.
But it's not that.
Right.
Because it's also got like Toy Story Land, which
Yeah.
isn't really adventure, it's Pixar.
Right.
So you've got like Rock and Roller Coaster and Tower of
Like
Terror.
to me, it's trying to be Universal Islands of Adventure.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like where they put IP that doesn't fit anywhere else.
Yeah. Like a dumping ground.
Yeah.
Almost. Yeah.
And I, like you said, Rise of Resistance is the most amazing attraction I've probably ever been on.
Yeah.
But it doesn't even have its own icon anymore.
Yeah.
You know? Like they took away the Sorcerer's Hat, they took away the Earful Tower, and so now they use Tower of Terror as the icon.
But they keep threatening to retheme it.
Right. So like, you're right. It doesn't. It's having an identity crisis.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I feel like Epcot is moving towards having a little bit of an identity crisis because it is so far away from
How it started.
Yeah. And Hollywood Studios is having that. And that may just be growing pains because everything changes. Like we're not opposed to change.
Right.
We talked
We just
about
said that,
earlier.
yeah.
But
there needs to be a clear vision.
Yeah.
And I think you're right. I think that's what it is. And if they did just go all in on like an Islands of Adventure style park, that would be, because I mean, that's what works in Magic Kingdom. You've got Adventureland, Frontierland, Fantasyland. It's got its little individual pods.
Yeah.
And that would be fine if that's what they went all in on. But even like Rock and Roller Coaster doesn't fit the same theming as Tower of Terror, and they're all down
And they're right next
Sunset
to each other.
Boulevard. Right.
Yeah.
And then none of that food makes sense. And then you've got Beauty and the Beast there, and yeah.
It's having a little bit of an identity crisis.
Now that you've said that, that totally makes sense.
So yeah. So out of all of the parks, Hollywood Studios is my absolute least favorite.
Yeah. And because we stay at Epcot Resorts a lot, like we end up in Hollywood Studios a lot, you know, like when we stayed at Beach Club, the kids wanted to go in Hollywood Studios all the time, and we did. And if we had an extra day, Rock and Roller Coaster is my husband's favorite roller coaster, so we end up back there if we've got extra time. And I'm just like, I just want to go walk around the world.
Yeah.
That's what makes me happy.
Yeah. Like last time we went, when was that, January?
Yeah, y'all were January.
We were January. The only thing we did in Hollywood Studios was when we got there, we went straight to Galaxy's Edge, got food, left from Galaxy's Edge, hung out in Toy Story Land, did alien swirling saucers, ate some more food, and then we left. Yeah.
There's not a good place to hang out, really, and like even people watch.
Yeah.
Like at least in Magic Kingdom, you've got, you know, right there at the
plaza,
the hub and the plaza that you can just kind of watch people and yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm sad to say that even, but I'm with you. All right.
I think that's it.
Yeah, I think that's it too. So again, down in the comments, let us know what you thought about our opinions. Share your controversial opinions.
But please be nice.
Yeah, please be
nice. I mean, we're nice.
Yeah, we're nice. They're, you know, we love Disney World. So, I mean, clearly.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you guys so much for watching. We appreciate it. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already, and we will see y'all next time.
Bye.